How's it going, everybody? Welcome back for another Emerald City Hockey post-game live. That's hopefully not cursed. Oh, as I see
I
that's every single comment waiting for us.
I know as we're getting ready to start this thing, just watching the countdown, seeing the chat with just cursed, cursed, cursed. Oh no, Dylan, what have we done?
I know. Really was not hoping for this as the start to the weekly post-game lives, but it is unfortunately where we find ourselves as the Kraken drop this one 4-2 to the Red Wings as we start this post-game live presented by Queen Anne Beerhall. Our little Instagram ad released today. So if you want to go see RJ and I's cheesy commercial acting, definitely go and check out the Hall's Instagram.
Definitely cheesy commercial acting for sure. Hey, Dylan, you did a good job catching that baseball, though.
I did, and we don't need to talk about how many takes it took.
Yeah,
Well,
just
that
some
was the
number.
one part of the whole thing that I got right every time was catching the ball.
That's true. You didn't drop it at any point, so
Yep.
that part you had down. And you know what? We know is that it just took at least one take.
Yes, that we do. All right, we'll just dive into things here, and I'm going to speed run the curse comments quickly, and then we'll talk about everything. So I'm just going to run through them here. Zach can't spell post game live without an L. The curse is real. Zoe, so is the watch party going to be as cursed as the post game lives? No, because we're going to be at the beer hall, and it won't be on Tuesday. It's going to be great.
Yes,
The
it
the
will be the second
hall,
half of a back-to-back. Don't worry about that.
yeah. The beer hall pretzel magic's gonna cure all curses. It's fine.
See, this has been
Calling
the
it
problem
now.
with the back-to-backs. We all just needed to get together in one place and
Mhm.
watch the game and fight the curse energy together, and this is how we're going to beat it.
Yep. Jake, post game live officially cursed. Lindsay, another data point for the Tuesday curse. Uh, George, all right, I'm pulling out the credit card. Time to sign into Etsy and cleanse this post game live curse. We appreciate, instead of just saying that it's cursed, taking the proactive approach, going out there, going to do something about it. Appreciate that, George. B, Tuesday curse seemingly here to stay. RIP. Jeremy, Tuesdays equals scheduled loss. Trish, RIP Tuesdays. Jake, how many more Tuesday games this season? And Alex, a lot. That is true.
It is why we scheduled these for Tuesdays so that we would have one of them pretty much every week.
Yep. Oh man. So, is it cursed? Did the Kraken again, this game felt different than some of the other ones that we've done. Like this just felt like the Kraken lost a close game. There was, weird bounces in this one. You have the one goal given up by a rusty Joey Decord that, realistically ends up being the difference in this one. It just kind of feels like, teams don't go 82-0, and this is just one of those nights.
Yeah, I mean, for a cursed game, this one felt like it just made a whole lot of sense because this was the Lane Lambert blueprint type of game, and I'm going to borrow from what Striatic said in our live game commentary, basically saying the whole point is just turn the game into a coin flip and hope you win enough coin flips over the course of the season, or enough coin flips get to overtime. I don't know if that really works, but that's the idea, and it just felt like that's what this game was, and you lost the coin flip because one extra thing went against you. And what was that? It was a rusty goal from Joey Decord, who had missed the last few games with an injury. We know that goal's not characteristic of how he plays or what he does, but it's this kind of thing that you could very easily explain by saying, hey, he's been out for a while. And so this game just made a whole lot of sense to me in a lot of different areas.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm right there with you. It's just also Joey's rusty return happened to be on a Tuesday. I mean, is that
Yeah. Yeah. And then Garrett, next Tuesday game is Colorado. I didn't realize that. So it's fine. They're due for
fine?
a
It's
loss,
fine.
right?
It's fine.
Zoe getting on me for trying to jinx everything. But Edward may have a solution here.
Yes, that is true. And so, super chat here from Edward. Appreciate the super chat, Edward. As always, petition to rename Tuesday to second Monday or Wednesday Eve. I'm a fan of Wednesday Eve personally. I like that.
That's good. You're looking ahead a little bit too. That's good. Wednesday. So yeah, the Colorado game is not on Tuesday. It's on Wednesday Eve.
On Wednesday Eve. And that's, if we just all refer to it for the next week as Wednesday Eve, which might be awkward depending on what your job is. Maybe somebody who has to schedule a lot or something like that. It's probably not going to be easy. But if you're willing to put in the work, we could get rewarded next week.
There you go. So this is the assignment for everybody over the course of the week.
This is our chance to really make a difference for the Seattle Kraken.
What we can do.
Exactly.
Can't go out on the ice and do anything different, but we can do this.
Look, the names for the days of the week were arbitrary to begin with, right? Somebody just
Yeah, it's
made
all
those.
made up.
They were just made up, so it's fine. Jeremy, we just need a Tuesday win for RJ and Dylan's mental, so we aren't talking an hour about a loss. It would be nice. Thankfully, I mean, we can also during this time answer any questions and talk about the wins that the Kraken had before this road trip got underway. So, like, you know, other games are on the table too.
Yeah, it's a nice weekly catch up now.
Yeah, yeah. Lindsay, I had a feeling before the game even started. I just knew. Is it because you checked the calendar and saw what day of the week it was?
Oh, and cross out the Tuesdays on your calendar too. Just write Wednesday Eve.
Yeah, yeah. But no, we're gonna make it a good one. It's Colin's first post game live all year. Boy, I miss them after every game. Yes. Again, you know, apologies about that, but it's allowing us to over the course of the season launch a lot of new content. So good stuff to look forward to. But glad you're in here for this one. Yeah, I mean, wow, it really is just cursed comments as I'm going down.
I know it doesn't end.
For like a comment about the game, and it doesn't end actually.
Yeah, this is all right. Next assignment for everybody. I'm sorry, going to add another one. Can we get some comments about the game, please?
Yeah, anybody got a comment about this game, the last couple of games, just the Kraken in general, what you want to talk about? That'd be cool. No, it is fine. Rogue Wave Creative, crazy stat this season. Almost 33% of games have gone overtime this season, most in 40 years. Now, is that? I mean, that's got to be NHL wide, or is that for the Kraken? Because I think it's higher for the Kraken, actually.
Yeah, no, that would be NHL wide, and it's a trend that we're seeing.
It's wild
all over the league. We talked about it on Red Glare podcast. Talked about it on the latest deep dive. This is something we haven't really seen. Yeah, I mean, in our lifetime, certainly, and so it's going to affect things, especially in the standings, the way the point system works. In a lot of other leagues, you know, in the other big four leagues, it probably wouldn't affect things very much, but in the NHL, it's going to have massive effects.
Yeah, no, it does because of the way the point system works. It is crazy, and I'm so curious to see how long it's going to last. Like, does this last through American Thanksgiving? Does this get us to Christmas or New Year's? Because if it does, I think you're going to see some wild standings, and from there, I wonder how it affects things like the trade deadline, like the end of the season, and those final pushes. Because if you have 2/3 of the league clumped up within 5 points of each other, it's going to be very interesting, and it's going to put a lot of pressure on any GM on a remotely warm seat at all. They're going to be forced into some stuff that they might not otherwise want to do. It's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, and I think it's going to exacerbate the sellers market that we've seen in the NHL really over the last year and a half almost. Because if every team's still in it, every team feels like they have a chance. Teams aren't going to want to sell off at the deadline, and everyone's going to want to add that little something to get over the hump and give them the chance they think they have.
Yeah, so it could get very interesting very fast. Let's see, Paul, it's fine. We're going to win against Colorado and break the curse. That would be awesome. That would be really cool. And then Alan, yuck, puck luck gave the Red Wings this one. I'll be in Chicago for Thursday's game, rooting for our boys to get a W. Also semi-related, post-game live, officially cursed. Should have read through the whole comment before I decided to finish it.
I was going to say, you could have cut it off, Dylan.
Could have cut it off there and been just fine. But hopefully you enjoy the game on Thursday, Alan, against Chicago. I think that's going to be a good opponent for the Kraken to go and look to bounce back. Because I think if you play against Chicago with the effort that you had tonight, like, again, you're putting yourself in a really good spot to walk out of that building with 2 points, or at least get the game to overtime, which has been the Kraken's way of doing things this year.
Yeah, certainly. And I think Chicago, yeah, the standings don't quite show it yet. It's close, but I do think they're a worse team than Detroit. You give the same effort. Joey makes that one extra save, which, I mean, I don't know if it's him in net or Grubauer or whatever, but your goalie makes that one save. You should be all right.
Yeah, definitely.
And you get to say hi to Burakovsky and Donato and some former Kraken. It's a fun time.
Yeah. Kaylin, work will be confused when I say we have a meeting next Wednesday Eve. I don't know why. Wednesday Eve, all the information is there. It's the day before
Yeah.
Wednesday. If they can't figure that out, that is their problem. And honestly, at work, your company probably wants to know that. Uh, it's like the new like test. We should sell that to companies. We'll come in and like let you know how your workforce is. Just start referring to days of the week all like messed up. Who gets it? Shano Wright, how would you assess Riker's play thus far? We did talk about Riker Evans during the live game commentary, RJ, but I'll let you kick this one off.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's been pretty solid. He's gotten back to the Riker Evans that we knew, I think, from not the end of last season, because he had a really rough stretch then, but basically prior to that, he's a similar player. I think he's a little bit more defensively minded, which fits the Lane Lambert system. I think every player is going to have to tweak their game just a little bit to fit that. But I love Jamie Alexiak being on Riker Evans' D pair. I think that might be the best D partner in terms of just a fit for someone to complement him that maybe he's ever had, and combine it with this system. And I really like that D pair. I mean, I could gush about Alexiak for like a couple minutes and how great he's been and how underrated he's been. But I think Evans is a really good part of that D pair. And also Alexiak being on the right side gives Evans the freedom to move the puck on the left side in the way that we know he can be good at.
Right. And I think we're seeing him play a little bit more calculated than before. Right? Like it feels like he just has, and maybe it's just that the game's slowing down for him. He's finally kind of hit that moment where he's played enough in the NHL where, he just kind of has a better understanding for it. But it just feels like when we're seeing him make plays, they're just a little bit more well thought out than they maybe were in the past. And those would be the times that we would see him maybe get caught in a bad spot. But you look at like tonight and the times that he decides to pinch up in the offensive zone, they feel very calculated, but they made a difference. You know what I mean? Like he was able to come in and kind of not save possessions, but certainly prolong possessions in the offensive zone by coming up and making a play, stepping into the slot when needed, or helping out the cycle by like kind of taking the place of a forward when they weren't, they were boxed up by the defense, something like that. But the rhythm of what the cycle needed was going to be disrupted. And so he just slides up and is able to fill in for them. Just feels like he just has a better kind of awareness and understanding for what's going on out there. And he's able to kind of step in and help contribute to the team while not having some of the large mistakes that we've maybe seen in the past. And, rough moment for him on the PK in this one. And it kind of, led to something that you don't want. But for the most part, as we were talking, didn't realize how much PK time he was actually getting. And that's the first time that we've really noticed it. And that's a good thing, because it means he's been out there for a lot of PK time and hasn't made a mistake like that or anything. So it is one of those like weird things where it's actually a positive that we noticed he made that mistake tonight.
Exactly. For a defenseman in a defending situation, it's a good thing if you don't notice him. You
Yeah.
never want to think about him.
Yep. Jamin, Kraken still do not have a 3-game winning streak or losing streak this year. It's so un-Kraken like, RJ. This team's not streaky.
No, they're not. But I think that's still a product of the way that they're playing and the Lane Lambert system, where basically tries to turn every game into a coin flip. It's hard to win a lot of coin flips in a row.
Mm-hmm.
I think it kind of naturally goes to, look, they're playing in so many close games. If it's one bounce your way, one bounce against you, it's hard to string those together for wins.
Yeah, no, my college statistics class
Or losses.
does tell me that is a difficult thing to do, but
You
not
took a stats
impossible.
class in between all the film stuff?
Yeah. Let's see here. That's the one math I'm okay at. That and geometry, for some reason.
I
Everything
think
else,
just you need to be able to like visualize. It's
anything
just different. Yeah.
remotely like related to algebra, and then following that up to like calculus, imaginary numbers, all that stuff, the irrational stuff. Can't do any of it. But you give me something solid, something tangible, like stats. I can do that.
There you go. Stats, a triangle, just you're good.
I'm good. Favorite goal from Becca. I'll again let you start this one, RJ.
Oh man. Favorite goal. I mean, I like, let's see.
It's a coin flip, RJ.
I know it's a coin flip. It's a coin flip. Well, because I was trying to say, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say I can go first. I just feel like I always tend to like answer questions right away after I read them. So that's why I was trying to let you get one. But I know what mine is.
I'm here. You go. You go ahead then.
Okay, mine is the Jordan Eberle power play goal because of the work that Matty Beniers was doing during that power play to manipulate the defense and kind of put them in bad spots. And then, he is the reason that Mort Seider is turned around and unable to kind of make the play. And then Matty's able to get that puck over to Jordan Eberle. So I'm a big fan of that goal because of the work away from the puck that Matty Beniers was doing. Really, that whole sequence. And we talked about it. I was calling it out live as we were watching that play out during the live game commentary. Just really, really cool to see that from him because we haven't seen that from him so much on the power play, and we haven't really seen that from anybody in the history of the Kraken on the power play. But if Matty Beniers playing in that bumper spot is going to start really doing that and trying to manipulate defenses and make space for the other guys out there, I feel like that could be one of those keys to unlocking the power play and making it a lot more consistent.
Yeah, and I think you covered that well. I wanted to give you, I was trying to figure out the way. I want to make sure you talk about that one because I know
Yeah.
how much you loved it on the live stream.
Yeah.
So I wanted to give you the chance. But I do think I also liked, I don't know, I like the Riker Evans goal just a little bit more. They were saying it might be the Berkeley Catton's first career goal for a little bit, but it was pretty clear it wasn't. But still, that's just getting traffic in lanes to the net. That's the kind of thing that I think is, I was gonna say the power play stuff, if you do it well, can be repeatable, but that's what's most repeatable, especially at 5-on-5.
Yeah.
And you saw the Red Wings had a goal on the Danielson goal, kind of like that, where they throw the puck on net and it just hits some things and goes in. This is where the Kraken are going to have to generate a lot of their offense this season if they want to be competitive. And it's a thing I think they've done a really good job of so far this season, right? So it's not pretty. Certainly not pretty. You throw it in from the point, it bounces off a couple whatever things, but that's the kind of goal they need to be scoring.
Yep, and Lindsay, Forsland, and JT really wanted that goal to be Catton's. Yeah, it sounds like there was maybe some, confusion created by the in-arena PA announcer. Announced it as Catton goal. Don't know if the broadcast was working off that, but yeah, the broadcast, it sounds like, was very much in on that being Catton's first goal, but just didn't on the replays look like it at all.
Yeah, I think it's for the best if he knows right away when his first career goal is.
Yeah,
And it's coming.
Yeah, no, you want it to be a definitive moment that you really feel and all of that. Like I feel like that's a positive thing and what you'd want. Super chat here from JTB Hockey. Do you think we see line changes on Thursday? Marchment off the top line, Wright perhaps getting more ice time. I don't know that we would see Marchment moved off that top line. I feel like the top line's working pretty well with Marchment there.
Well, I think the big potential catalyst for that is if Jared
Yes.
McCann's ready to come back, in which case I would move Marchment off the top line, put McCann there,
Of course,
and then make changes further down.
I'm assuming based off of information we have, assuming they're rolling in with the same thing. Yes, because obviously McCann being available absolutely means everything is changing all the way through the lineup. But if Jared McCann is not available for that game on Thursday, again, we're guessing that he's going to come back at some point during this road trip because he traveled, and they wouldn't have done that if it wasn't a possibility. We don't know if that's coming in on Thursday. If McCann does not come back on Thursday, RJ, do you still want Marchment up there, or are you looking for something else?
I still want Marchment up there, but I do want to see maybe some changes a little bit further down of the forward lines. The one that we saw later in the game, of course, the Kraken were chasing the game. They were looking for a goal, but sticking Shane Wright on the wing in the top six with Chandler Stevenson, I'd like to see that for more of the game. I would love for that to be a more permanent thing. See if that unlocks a little bit more aggressiveness in Shane Wright and his game. Because I think, this game, I don't think you need to be too concerned about it given the way you played, because it was just kind of a toss-up. I don't think you need to go overreact and change everything, but maybe some of the tweaks that you already made in game for certain situations, you go back to.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, and I think that would be a good way of doing it. And I think it's, talk about putting Wright in an opportunity that he hasn't really had before. Because not only is he getting the top six, but he's going to be on Stevie's wing, so like defense is still going to matter for him. But he is going to be on the wing, and that's going to put him in a place where he can more so afford to have a mindset that's thinking offensively more often than not. And I think that that's something that he kind of needs anyway. That's partly why I've been a fan of him being moved to the wing. But yeah, hopefully that would just kind of kickstart him there. But I'm also with you. I would keep Marchment on the top line, assuming McCann's not back. I don't know that I would change too much beyond that.
No, I wouldn't make any huge changes. You don't need to panic after this game.
Yeah. Yeah. Alex, it was one of the games of all time. That it was. That it was. Mindy, I think it says a lot about the quality of the game that all we've had is curse talk. I mean, it was one of those games where it was just kind of like everything felt fairly natural. There wasn't anything where it felt like, okay, this team really went out of their way to generate this chance, or this player really went out there and made something happen. It just felt like kind of two teams that, have some skill in their lineups, but not like a world beater of a player, right? A superstar player out there. And they just went out there and they were trying to execute their systems against each other. And
Yeah.
that's what it was. And largely through most of it, they were just pretty even in that regard.
And I think we've gotten a lot of that this season. We just haven't noticed it as much because often the Kraken are winning those games. And then it's always just fun when you win and you've got, I mean, if this was flipped and it just the extra bounce went the other way, we'd be talking about the game winner for the Kraken, whatever that third goal
Yeah.
was. And
Or the Tolvanen chance gets in there at the end and we were going to overtime.
right. And then it's, big dramatic overtime game. We're talking about all of that. I just think that's the way that these games have gone so far this season. And that's the flip side of these Lane Lambert style games is, of course, they're still fun when you win. There's plenty to talk about. But when you lose, there's not a whole lot there.
Yeah. Yeah. Jake, I was happy to see Yanni hop up ready to go after he was taken down. Yeah, Yanni Newman was looking to fight after that play. We talked about it on the live game commentary. Didn't think that it was a penalty that we would call, or if we did, we would probably take somebody from Detroit as well. But that did, lead to the power play that Detroit was able to score on.
Yeah, and I want to give credit, as we did on the stream, to James Van Riemsdyk, who I
Yeah,
believe was the Red Wing coming in there, because he could have just buried Yanni Newman. He could have gotten some punches in while Newman was down and defenseless, but veteran player, veteran move. Got in his face, as you definitely want to do after a play like that, but didn't do anything dirty, didn't cross any kind of line. And I think that's something that maybe the officials also saw and respected.
yeah, I agree. Um, let's see. I hope when Catton does get his first goal, it'll be super clear. Agreed. And then Rogue Wave Creative asking on the, all the games go into overtime. Think it's parity. I talked about it on our Red Glare podcast this last week because we brought it up there, and I definitely think it's more parity than anything. I think that right now what you're seeing, I talked about this on the deep dive, I think too. What you're seeing is a lot of the bad teams that have been bad for the last couple years, like the truly rebuilding teams, Chicago, Anaheim, San Jose. They're getting better. They're more competitive. They're coming out of that rebuild. They're starting to anyway, and they're not great yet, but they're able to be in games that they otherwise, previously were not able to be in. And I think that you're seeing some of the attrition take place to the longer term cup contending teams. The most extreme example would be, of course, like the Rangers, but I think you're seeing it with teams like Florida. The cup run is taking its toll. You got a lot of injuries there, so they're walked back. Washington, kind of in more age roster, taking a step back. Toronto, been through a lot. They're taking a step back, and they had the attrition of losing a Mitch Marner. Tampa kind of feels like they're pulled back a little bit this year, and so I think that you're just seeing a lot of that from the teams that were used to being ultra competitive. They've all lost somebody. Winnipeg lost Ehlers. It's made a big difference for them. Still a good team, but they're not like a dominant team the way that they were before. And so I think that both of those two things are just, as that power shift is happening in the NHL, where the baton is going to be passed from some of the franchises that have been good for the last 5 to 10 years, it's going to switch over, and we're just in that transitionary period where they're all kind of going to meet in the middle.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of it. It's probably most of it. But I think also the point system does incentivize certain behavior of play, especially late in games that are already tied. And that requires parity to get to. But then, you have the incentives, especially early in the season, especially a lot of with teams where it's Western versus Eastern teams playing against each other, where it doesn't really affect you if you give a point to the other side either.
Yeah. Yeah. And Striatic saying NHL needs the PWHL 3-point system to deter overtime.
It
Something
would
I
be an
know
improvement.
you would agree
It'd
with.
certainly
Yeah.
be an improvement. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Trish, this game did feel like a different start, felt faster, and it was. I mean, this game was very back and forth at the beginning, RJ. They were just piling on shots, both teams. You and I know that both coaches must have been watching that, just waiting for that first TV timeout.
Yeah, I'd be like, stop it, guys. You are shooting way too much. This is way too wide open. I mean, a lot of the chances were one and done because a lot of the defensemen were good about getting to the pucks, leading their own breakout, all that sort of stuff. So it wasn't super dangerous. But yeah, it had a different feel than the way that we know both of these teams like to play. And as soon as that TV timeout hit, both coaches sat their guys down like, look, this is not how we play hockey. And the game changed from there.
Yep. George, going back to talk about that, parity in the league this year. It's interesting to see so few blatant tanks this year. That's definitely adding to the parity. Teams are blatantly tanking for Bedard. Don't seem to be seeing it for McKenna. And yeah, I don't think that many teams are really blatantly taking this year. I would argue virtually none of them are, because even like a really bad team like Calgary, I think they low-key kind of truly believed in their ability to repeat last year.
Yeah, I mean, coming off a 96-point season, I think they were certainly trying to go for it. I mean, even as of a couple of weeks ago, their management was saying they were still trying to turn things around. Nashville wasn't looking to tank going into the season. St. Louis wasn't. The team that was more than anybody was Pittsburgh, and you got to scroll way up in the standings to find them. They're 7th in the league, so that's just how it's gone.
Yeah, and I think there's elements of McKenna's not a center. There's questions about that. There's questions about if Verhoff's actually the better piece. And you certainly look at what Schaefer's doing this year as an 18-year-old blue liner, and you go, okay, maybe, drafting a franchise-changing defenseman isn't a bad idea. So I think there's elements like that as well taking place there. James, surprised nobody stepped up when Catton took a hit. Also, Marchment gets knocked on his backside way more than I was expecting. Whether it's the skating style or it's the kind of always looking to maybe see if he can get a call, if Mason Marchment takes contact, RJ, it feels like he's going down every time.
Yeah, he's going down hard, and he's going to look at the ref right after. That's just kind of what he does. As for the Catton element of this, because I do you think James is referring to the one where DeBrincat got him?
Maybe. In which case, I don't know. He like went to challenge DeBrincat. DeBrincat won that challenge. is kind of how I would call that.
And DeBrincat's not a very big player himself. He's
small. He's smaller than Catton.
Yeah, if you go by the measurement, of the height and weight and everything. So, yeah, I think that there was part of that. But yeah, I don't think Catton was particularly victimized in this one in a situation where he didn't just kind of go for it and put himself in that situation, and you either win or you lose.
Yeah. Let's see here. How do we feel about Joey's game tonight? I feel like he wasn't 100% ready from Lindsay. I mean, we talked about the rusty goal, that one goal that was scored. Who scored that goal? Why is it not still up for me? Was it Raymond, I think?
Yeah, that was the
it was the Lucas Raymond goal.
Yep.
Towards the beginning of the second period, that one was one that, if we were there, if it was a game in Seattle, we could go to Joey, and first thing out of Joey's mouth would be that he wanted that one back, right? But I think outside of that one, like, I thought he looked pretty good. Like, you look at the first period, he was hanging in there when that game was back and forth, and he had to make some big saves.
Yeah, which makes it more confusing, that goal, because I thought Joey was excellent otherwise. You can't really blame him on the other goals. You have the one that just bounces in off somebody, and then it was a perfect shot by Finney on the power play. Like, any butterfly goalie is just going to take away what they take away. If you can put it right under the bar, good on you. But yeah, I mean, I thought otherwise he was very good, but just that one, but it's the same thing we always talk about, like with Grubauer, I'm going to say last season or whatever. But if you do one of those per game, it's hard to survive it.
Yeah. And then Rogue Wave Creative, you guys know way more about the Kraken than I do, but don't you think long term this is going to be an issue, because it almost feels like they have to play perfect to win? I think that it's not that they have to play perfect to win, it's that they have to play relatively mistake free to win. But I think that that's something that a lot of teams could say, and I think that what the Kraken are really good at doing is I was going to say dragging teams down to their level, but really forcing their structure onto other teams, right? That forcing the pace of play that they want and the style of play that they want. They're very good at controlling the game and forcing the other teams to play that way, and then that's what allows them to be in kind of those coin flip scenarios.
Right. And I think if you're talking long term, as in beyond this season, yeah, this would be an issue long term, because you said, well, that's the case for a lot of teams having to play mistake free. Not really for teams that have a lot of talent on the roster. You don't see that for teams that are perennial playoff teams. They can get away with a lot of mistakes because they've got a lot of talent and still make the playoffs. Then playoffs are a different animal. But within a season, I think it doesn't have to be an issue for the Kraken just within this year, the way that they're playing. The one thing I wonder about, worry about, concerned about is how much they're skating, because you look at any of the NHL edge stats and their forwards are skating more than any other team. And it's not particularly close, which so far they've been able to do just fine through 20 games. Can they do that for 82 games without everybody getting exhausted or getting injured? I don't know, but that's still the bigger question that I have.
Yeah, no, it is. I don't see why they can't.
Yeah, I don't see why not either. But if for some reason that kind of thing slows down, that's one potential reason it could.
Yeah.
Guys just get tired.
Yeah. It's no different than like, thinking back to like the Sutter Kings teams where it's like you're playing super physical every night or something like that, right? Like it's all tiring, but you don't feel tired when you're winning.
Exactly.
Like as long as you're winning, it's fine.
Yes.
The moment that like a long losing streak hits or something like that, then all of a sudden you start feeling a little tired. Strategic math that Dylan can hold in his hands. That is when I'm at my best. If I can convert it to something physical, tangible, a sports statistic, or best of all, money.
There you go. Yeah.
The speed at which I could do just basic arithmetic when I think about it in dollars and cents, at least 4x, probably more, but very strange. Catches Julia off guard all the time. Sergey, can you explain what is good about Marchment? Every touch of the puck is bad. Every battle is lost. Every pass is to nowhere. I don't know that I would go that far, RJ.
I wouldn't say everyone. No, and I'm not the biggest fan of Marchment and his style of game and everything. I think to start with, watching him as a Seattle Kraken, it's going to be tough for Marchment because, look, I still think he's not a good fit for this system. Yeah. And we said this even when the trade was made, that it didn't make a whole lot of sense fitting in Lambert's system. The fit wasn't really there. Where it made sense was from an asset management perspective, because you could probably flip him for more than you gave to get him. And then also in the locker room, because he seems very well liked. And he's, I think, part of this group that's giving a lot more effort this year than they were in the past. And you can't really question the effort from him. He's trying out there, even though it doesn't always look the cleanest or the best. The effort is still consistently there from him, I think. But the system fit's not very good because he's not really a defensive shutdown type of guy. The areas of the ice he goes to aren't really like he was supposed to be the net front guy, and doing that. I don't think he does a whole lot of that. I don't know why people were saying he kind of had that reputation going into the season, at least from watching him with the Stars. I never saw it. And so there's that. And then the discipline issues. Like if you're taking untimely penalties, that's just not going to work when you're playing so many close games.
Right. If you're a team that wants to play 1-goal games, you want to be then on the right side of things, special teams wise, and having somebody who's going to be undisciplined is not going to benefit you. I think the bottom line is on this Kraken team and on this Kraken roster, he's forced into a role that, he's not built for. He's built to be a great third line winger. And
he could eat in those matchups.
Absolutely. He will feast in those matchups. But on this team, I mean, we're talking about it, right? Like he's on the first line, right? Or at least he's in the top 6. And this is a team that heavily weighs playing time towards that top 6 now, right? Like gone are the days of rolling the 3 lines fairly equally. We are definitively in Matty line and Stevie line are getting half the game. And I think, or, really more than half the game. And Marchment's being asked to be on those lines. And that's just, I just don't think he's quite built for that. That's all. Strydick, how are you feeling about Lindgren Montour? I feel great about the second half of that.
I do too. Yeah. I mean, really, like I'll be frank. Like I think Brandon Montour is playing excellent and he's kind of dragging Ryan Lindgren up and down the ice and he's making it work with a D partner that is probably holding him back quite a bit. That's how I see it.
Yeah, none of the numbers have been particularly kind to Lindgren. The eye test isn't always kind to Lindgren. I will say, I do think, like, kind of similar to Marchment, I think there's an element of warrior mentality and playing through things and playing with a certain amount of, to use a word that matches his mustache right now, gusto. that I think was missing from the Kraken blue line, quite frankly, before. Because as much as we love to say like Lars, Viking Warrior, all of that kind of stuff, I think there is a calmer, and not calmer, but a more quiet, warrior type thing, stoic, that Ryan Lindgren brings. And I do feel like that has rubbed off on some of the other guys. I think that he's, kind of got them playing a little bit differently, and kind of what the general feel of what that blue line wants to do and be is. And so it's one of those where, is he maybe getting more minutes than he should be getting? Probably. But just like with Marchment. But I also feel like from a culture standpoint, I feel like he's brought in something to that blue line, and he's bringing out more in the guys around him.
Yeah, and I think also Lindgren, I mean, you talked about Marchment kind of playing too big of a role, but I think he'd be fine as a third liner. Lindgren's probably a third pairing defenseman, realistically, matchup wise, at this point in his career. I think that's where he's best suited. He's playing on the second pair in big minutes with Brandon Montour. And I just think the matchup is a little too much for him.
Yeah, I agree. Marina, I wasn't there to watch the game with you guys, but Yanni took crash in the net seriously. The replay of the ref removing Evan's broken chain and handing it to him was so funny. It was very funny. I loved seeing that.
I know on first glance you were like, wait, is the ref just like taking off Evan's chain and just like taking it?
I thought he was like, hey, look, man, I'll keep you out of the box, but this is what it's going to cost you.
Yeah, that was a funny moment.
Yeah. Jake, I still think it'd be funny if the Tampa pick is higher than ours this season. There's a chance.
Yeah,
it's a very real chance it will be.
Yeah, they haven't really figured it out yet, have they, Tampa?
No, they have not. Stratic, it feels like the handshake let's just go to overtime game conclusions that used to be in East versus West games are happening in conference now. Definitely. I mean, I still think we saw that second game of the year against Vegas.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Where both teams are content to get their points. And I think it was a natural thing that I think was always going to happen if you set up the incentive structure that way, especially early in the season, where look, you don't know who you're going to be competing with at the end of the year, right? You get your point, you move on. And maybe at the end of the year, it's a little different if you're playing against a division team and you know where they are relative to you. But early in season, I think everyone's making the calculation, just get your points.
Yep, exactly. Kraken currently have exactly the same number of points as the Flames through 19 games last year. That comment from Zach RJ feels very targeted towards you.
I have made that comparison in the past. They still feel like last year's Flames to me. They're getting the great goaltending. They're playing the way they need to in the structure. I've explained in previous Armchair GM streams, and I'll talk about it again next week, why this year's Flames don't have to be next year's Kraken. Nothing that says that has to continue, but as far as this year, I still think the comparison's apt.
Yeah. Difference though, getting all the overtime games and the way the rest of the league is, maybe that opens a door for them. A door that didn't exist for the Flames last year. No, I'm trying to be positive. I tried, everybody. Sorry.
Gotta make sure the logic goes in the right direction at least.
I mean, it could. You don't know. Like, it could. Kraken could end up having, like, well, I actually was trying to do this with Jeff Baker the other day. We were trying to figure out how many, like, OTLs they could have and still realistically be a playoff team.
How many overtime lost dollars do they need?
I was gonna say, I need
amount of dollar points.
It's the problem. I need to do it in math, in money math. As Jake's pointed out, Dylan built to be a cashier. Exactly. I am. Jeremy Marchment probably got away with a lot of what he's doing when he was in Dallas just because it was a better team. I think there is elements of that. I mean, trust me, there were times where we would watch Dallas games and we were like, wow, this guy is costing this Dallas team. And like in big moments too, like Western Conference Finals, watching some of those games between Dallas and, Vegas the first year, and then Edmonton that second year they were there. And it was just like, seriously, get this guy off the ice. Like, what is he doing? How does he actually benefiting you? Because all I'm seeing is him taking bad penalties at times when he really shouldn't. But then he would also like score the game-winning goal later in the game. And I'm just like, all right, I guess.
Yeah, he has to bring some positives, and he does, like, in order to justify the other stuff. Like, there's a reason teams make the calculation. He sticks around.
Right. And Pete DeBoer would not be playing him in a big moment if he did not mean that calculation leveled heavily, right,
No.
RJ?
Well, yeah, no, he wouldn't, because DeBoer is a good coach. He had to give
Mhm.
Jamie Benn a pass because he was the captain. Jamie Benn would do just as
Yes,
much boneheaded stuff, but
absolutely.
but you can't do anything to the captain. You can't judge the captain. Marchment at least didn't have that protection. He kept getting played, so
Yeah, I think Marchment was getting more ice time than Jamie Benn.
I probably
I
deserved it.
think, yeah,
Ben was worse in the bad
yeah.
decisions
No,
department.
I agree. Um, let's see, Jake. I'd like to see them give Monty Mahura a pair at some point. I want to see that too. I'm kind of upset we didn't see that when Riker was out and Mahura was in the lineup every day.
Yeah, I mean, they're friends too. They also just know each other from that. I think the chemistry would be there from that as well. And like, I'm sorry, I want to see what it looks like because I think there's a decent chance it could be an upgrade over
Mhm.
Lindgren.
Yeah,
Hate
no,
to say it, but I think it could.
yeah, I totally agree. And then Stratic here. How are we feeling about the torrent broadcast agreement arrangement? OTA and YouTube, over the air and YouTube, and with Allison and Piper and B. I'm so excited for Allison and Piper to be on the broadcast team as well. Torrent broadcasts are sure to be top tier. They're definitely going to be top tier, and yeah, I plan on talking about it. Potentially tomorrow when we record the downpour. But being over the air in market with the game's going to be on Kong and Fox 13. I think 24 of them are on Fox 13 and then 6 are on Kong. I think that's going to be huge. I'm going to recommend that even though they're easy to stream free on YouTube, if you have the ability to watch the over the air stuff, go ahead and give the ratings there. I think that's important. But yeah, really cool that they're going to be just so accessible. Regardless of what setup you have, you should be able to watch these games.
Yeah, no, it's huge. Love that setup. I loved reading that today. It was a surprise. I didn't know that news was coming. Then to
Mhm.
see it, and of course with Allison and Piper, like what more could you want? Especially in the Seattle market around hockey fans. I think that even has a chance to maybe grow it a little bit more than it otherwise would be, because these are two people that hockey fans with the Kraken are familiar with, might be willing to give the torrent a little bit more of a try if they weren't going to already.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And then super chat here from Trish. Appreciate it, Trish. Like and subscribe, definitely. And then comments.
Yeah.
I'm at the bottom.
Yeah.
Only 40 minutes in
Also want to thank everyone. We just hit 5,000 subscribers. I think it was
on
yesterday
YouTube. Yeah.
on YouTube. So thanks everyone for that.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice
Um,
milestone.
but yeah, again, like post game lives on once a week don't need to just be about this game. Like if you have still stuff from the previous games, we could talk about that, or more general Kraken stuff.
Anything we talked about on the
Yeah,
deep dive?
yeah. Feel free to put it in there. I do know that this game was kind of just like, eh.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we were feeling that during the live game commentary. There was times where we were just like,
This game.
It's
Yeah.
it's Kraken hockey though. Like that, like we've been talking about this whole time, right? Like that is kind of the way that this team wants to play. These are the games that they want to play. Going back to Jared McCann at the beginning of the year, right? Like not all the games are going to be that exciting. Like that's that could be kind of how this was. Um, Jake, how are we feeling about Yanni and the lack of power play time? I I'm still a little frustrated by it, RJ, right? Not getting the Yanni Newman power play time, especially with McCann out of the lineup and Yanni in the lineup. I still don't know why he's not out there. I I get that. I understand why his 5-on-5 time is being limited. I absolutely do. I understand what his limitations are with his play away from the puck, all of that kind of stuff. He is your deadliest weapon on the power play, especially with Jared McCann out. Why he's not on at least one of the two units. I like that Berkeley Catton's out there on the second unit and getting power play time. Like that's really cool. But he's in the one-timer spot, and you cannot make an argument to me that's going to have hold any water that Berkeley Catton's one-timer is in any way close to Yanni Newman's, much less better.
No, and I don't think any of the Kraken coaches would make that argument. I think really because we're also seeing Tolvanen in the one-timer spot, and
Right,
maybe
I get
that's
him being on the first unit, but I'm saying Catton being in that spot on the second unit.
yeah. I mean, it's a different look than like you basically don't want a one-timer threat there. And you
Right.
saw it.
No, I
Well,
know.
you saw it on the power play tonight, though. Actually, I think there was a good example tonight where a pass came over to Catton really fast, and Talbot was not across the net yet.
Mhm.
Catton had a bunch of net to shoot at. He didn't even look at the net. Didn't even look toward it whatsoever. He was looking to make a pass and look to make the next play. And I do think it would be beneficial to have more of a shooter there. someone who can
Yeah.
provide that threat. I'm always going to say that at this point. I think we both are. Like, I don't think there's a whole lot that could convince us. I'm still impressed with what the power play is doing overall, which is the reason I'm maybe holding back a little bit on it, because I love what
Right.
Chris Taylor's doing with it, and I don't want to question what is ultimately bringing success, but still, I think it can be improved.
I agree. I agree. So I talk about next game. I mean, Chicago's playing right now. Chicago has been a pretty up and down team. Well, they've blown the lead against Calgary, so that gives you an idea of the problems still do exist in Chicago as much as the young guys are stepping up there. But yes, most dangerous lead in hockey, RJ, a 2-goal lead against the Calgary Flames.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah, I mean, for Chicago, I still don't think they're a very good team. We saw the Kraken played them once already. That was the famous Joey Decord going for the empty net twice game. So that was a fun one. But I mean, my main memories from that are that the Blackhawks had their chances, but the Kraken kind of kept them out of any real dangerous areas. Chicago wasn't really a threat to score a whole lot in the game, and the Kraken eventually just figured it out and got the offense going. I do wonder if I don't know how Spencer Knight's been doing recently. I know he had a really strong start to the season, but I wonder if the Kraken actually do face Spencer Knight in that one. But Chicago just doesn't scare me. They're still. I know the standings are in a playoff spot, all that. They're not a very good team.
Yeah, no, they're not. Spencer Knight, yeah, Soderbergh is in net tonight. Spencer Knight, last 5 games, 3-0-2.
Okay.
Pretty solid there from him. I think the big thing is with Chicago is that they're still a young team, not a very deep roster, and they're playing fast and loose. They're not playing very structured, and they don't have the pieces able to break through a structure like what the Kraken have. Like, they're not going to be able to really force issues and take back control of the game from the Kraken. And so I think that that's something that benefits the Kraken a lot. Whereas you look at the games against San Jose, and San Jose just has that one extra forward line. Really, really, they just have a second line. Like, Chicago's big problem right now is that they just can't get a consistent second line effort together all the time. But certainly, like with San Jose, they have like enough of a third line that it becomes more of a struggle for the Kraken to kind of dictate pace of play and really impose their structure on them and things like that. Chicago doesn't have the ability, right? Like, it's going to be the Connor Bedard line, and he himself is going to be able to break through the Kraken structure, and he's going to do what he can do. But if he's not getting the support from Burakovsky or Donato, and if Nazar, who has been kind of inconsistent since returning from his injury, isn't able to do that, you can give Bedard his chances and then just win the game from there.
Yeah, exactly. And Zach saying Spencer Knight, #1 goal save of expected per money puck. Julia, Spencer Knight has been my best fantasy goalie. I know how good your fantasy team is, Julia. It's just points against that are getting you, I'm sure. But I figured you'd enjoy that one, Dylan.
Yep.
But yeah, so Spencer Knight, that'd be my only thing I'd be worried about, is if he steals the game.
Yeah. Zach, what's the deal with Winnipeg? They win, but their analytics are bad, and the eye test feels even worse. The eye test does feel awful. Certainly every time we see them.
Yeah, seen them twice. They've looked really bad in both games. I know there's just something about Seattle that brings out the absolute worst in the Winnipeg Jets. But I think you look at their wins, I think that should tell you a lot of the story. I mean, working backwards, Columbus, not a very good team. Calgary, a shootout win against Calgary. Okay. Vancouver, they look pretty bad. Pittsburgh, okay, not good on paper. They've played better than they are, but like Pittsburgh, Chicago, Minnesota, also not in a playoff spot. Calgary, 2 more against Calgary, Nashville, Philadelphia. I mean, they're playing against teams at the bottom of the league. Those are the only teams they're beating. Like, they've had a super easy schedule to start the season. I think that explains a lot of it.
It does. Like, that's been it. Losing Nick Ehlers hurt them a ton. Like he really helped hold things together in that top 6, and it has just not been the same without him. And like I said, they're the team that most feels like they're feeling that attrition and that their window is kind of just closing. It's kind of an older core, and I just don't think they have it. I think the blue line has not looked good this year either. I think they're dealing with the fact that they know they're losing Hellebuck for the Olympics, so they're trying to manage his starts more than they normally do. But that just means then you're starting Eric Comrie more, who has been one of the worst backups in the league, not just this year, but like over the last couple years. So I think that all of that's just kind of coming together, and they're just, they've been through a lot, and I think it's just catching up to them.
Yeah, I mean they're barely managing Hellebuck. Comrie just had his 5th start tonight out of 19 games, so it's still
That is better rate than last year.
It is. That's true. Yeah.
Likelihood of Jared McCann actually playing on this road trip since he's traveling with them, or do we think it's more so he can just continue to practice with the team and ease himself back? That's coming from B, RJ.
Without knowing what the injury specifically is and any of the details with that, I just have to go off of a hunch. I'd say it's pretty likely, just from the way he's kind of been ramping up. And again, you said they wouldn't bring him on the road trip if it wasn't a possibility, and I think that's certainly true. But I think even if they were leaning, if it was less than 50%, I still think they probably wouldn't bring him on the road trip.
I agree. Like there wouldn't be a reason to do that. You'd want him back home and with all of your facilities and all of that kind of care and support and all of that if it wasn't over 50%. So yeah, I definitely think that's going to be the case. Kalen, are Allison and Piper going to do Torrent and Kraken next year? I mean, they're doing it this year. I don't know why they wouldn't do both next year.
Yeah. I mean, it's, with the TV stuff, it's always hard to predict, who stays and goes year to year, but they both seem pretty happy with the Kraken, and I can't imagine they wouldn't want to do more Torrent stuff if they're doing it already.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, without knowing the details of their contracts.
Exactly.
I don't think like the Torrent would pull them away from the Kraken. I mean, Allison doesn't travel with the team with the Kraken, so she'll always be in Seattle and then able to do stuff like that. And then, Piper, I'm sure they can work stuff, scheduling wise around that. Yeah, and then Trish, why did Torrent have to partner with Fox 13 for streaming? I mean, they're gonna streaming wise, they're gonna be on YouTube and pwhl.com still. So
yeah,
it's really just for over the air. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. If you have internet, you can get the games.
Yeah. So yeah, if everybody should be able to access them, no problem, which is great. And what a growing league needs. Imagine that concept, NHL, or really any of the big 4 sport networks where imagine PWHL is free. Imagine if that streaming, you had a streaming option, RJ, that somebody could just buy and then watch the games.
Like you buy it and then you can just watch the games.
And then you just watch the games, for maybe the team and market, because that's probably why you'd be buying a package like that. I don't know. Again, this is probably my weird math stuff coming out, and I'm just thinking way too abstract and obtuse for the NHL.
Yeah. And ironically enough, it's a lot about dollars and cents there too.
Yes. Oh my God.
Kalen meant this year for Piper and Allison. So yeah, they're doing both this year.
Yeah, they're doing both this year, and gotta think that they would be back if they want to be back for next year too.
Yeah, ball will be in their court, I think.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so we'll do a quick last call presented by Queen Anne Beerhall.
Nice.
On things. But yeah, and then Stratic pointing out that if you're in Canada, Czechia, or Slovakia, for some reason those 3, the PWHL is blocked on YouTube. So strange why that's the case. Andrew, as someone who doesn't know too much about player development, how worried should we be about Shane Wright? I think it's probably that I'm maybe a little too worried, but I would say pretty worried.
Mm-hmm. I'd say, Dylan, you on the flip side, you probably do know too much about player development.
Yeah, I was gonna say I probably take it a little too far, but I'm myself pretty worried about it. I think that there have been times for him to go out there and try to earn more opportunities, and I haven't seen them from him, and I think that that's concerning to me, because I think that that's something that he needs to have. And it's something that, on not last night's prospect chat, but the previous one, talked about that going back to Coachella Valley, and talked about that going back to his final year in junior, him also kind of behaving that way, and contrasting that with when he first came in to the OHL as an exceptional player status player. And the way that he played back then when he was 15, 16, completely different player than what we saw his last year of junior and what we've seen since the Kraken have drafted him. And while he's a more complete player now, just so much of the offensive fire, the wanting to step up and seize ice and really pressure other defense, the other team's defense, and put them in bad spots. That play just doesn't really exist with him now. And I think that if he wants to break out, or if we want him to break out and become that kind of next level offensive player and kind of take that step forward offensively, those are the things that he has to do. He has the skill. He has that in him. He has the hockey sense in him. He just needs the mentality, and he just needs to kind of do that, because he can be one of those players that could really pressure a defense and force them into making mistakes. And even if he's not directly creating the chance, he could help, create an opportunity for a line mate, something like that. He has good size. There's no reason why he can't try to go towards the middle of the net more, or go fight things out net front. Like, he has a great frame. He's got good size and strength. He has literally all of the pieces. The only thing missing for me is just that aggressiveness and that desire to go out there and make a play.
Yeah, and I mean, I think for me, the other thing that concerns me a bit is that you have all that on the player side that I think you did a great job explaining too, but also just my questions on the team side of things. And yes, I'm more biased toward looking on the team side of these sort of questions. I think you're more on the player side, but also, the team going with Lane Lambert as a coach and having that kind of system that's not going to really lend itself toward offensive creativity. And then even last year, when you did have that, not giving him the opportunity, that's the other kind of thing that concerns me, is that I'm not seeing a whole lot on the team side either. Yes, Shane's not doing a whole lot to earn those opportunities, but the team doesn't seem very intent on giving them to him.
Yeah.
Whether he earns them or not, because he did last season.
Yeah, he did last season, and they didn't give it to him, although that's, potentially why you fired the coach. So
yeah, and then the certain behind the scenes things we'll never know. Like, was that a Dan thing? Was that from the team higher up? We just don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. And then it's too early this season for you to be doing that, and the team has been so competitive this year that it's just not going to line up that way for many reasons. I mean, again, the number one player development thing that has gotten in the way of Shane Wright potentially developing further than he has was the signing of Chandler Stevenson. You could look at the year one handling of him and the fact that he played on 3 different teams and all of that, or 4 different teams. No, it's not that. It is the fact that you signed Chandler Stevenson and then gave coaches this out from having to play Shane Wright.
Yeah, you signed a 7-year deal to cover a 1-year issue. Mm-hmm. And yeah, you're right. That's the number one thing.
Yeah.
Still around.
So, yeah. So that I think has been the biggest thing there. So, all right. I think on that note, we'll call it.
It fits the game, right?
Yeah, it does fit the game, unfortunately. It's a good question, Andrew. That's going to do it for this episode of Post Game Live. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining us. Huge shout out to Queen Anne Beerhall for sponsoring. Again, cannot wait for that watch party coming up this week, Sunday, November 23rd, 2 p.m. Going to be down there at the Beer Hall. Watch the Kraken take on the New York Islanders. I'm looking forward to that. Get to see Matthew Schaefer on the other side of things, and I think that it's going to be a fun game for the Kraken to play and try to break a couple curses. Matinee curse, back-to-back curse, us all hanging out curse. A lot on the line.
Yeah, definitely a lot on the line. You can also, if you're a football fan, Seahawks fan, you can roll right from the Seahawks game at 10 a.m. You can even show up early for that at the Beer Hall. They'll have that on. Then you go right into the Kraken game afterward. And if you like going to Kraken games, we're also going to be raffling off some Kraken tickets to a future game, so you have a chance to win those as well. It's going to be a great time.
Yeah, definitely. So looking forward to that one. Can't wait to see everybody there and hang out and have fun, have a pretzel, all that good stuff. And that's going to do it for this Post Game Live. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining us for this. Thanks. Another shout out to the patrons who joined us for the live game commentary beforehand. Appreciate spending the whole evening with you all. But that's going to do it, and we will see you all next time.